Hi everybody, I've got my microphone on so hopefully you can hear me better today. Before we get started on today's lesson, which is quadratic attributes, I wanted to talk to you about progress report grades are going out. So I think this is Monday for you guys, and so they're probably going to be sent out by email maybe, or maybe, I think they do email, I don't know. Maybe they mail them, I don't know. Anyway, if you get your grades and you are not passing, email me, okay? You need to email your teachers. Any teacher you're not passing, we need to tell you what you're missing. Now, if you can go onto Parent Portal, that's great. We'll talk about that in a second, because then you can see all your assignments in every single grade. But you need to email me. It could be that you're missing the test from last week. You have not taken it yet, so that's a 0. The 0 averaged with the 100 daily average gives you a 50. So again, you need to make up that test, and you maybe have some other assignments that you need to make up. This is my email address, brenda.harris@wacoisd.org. I am here to help you, but you've got to contact me, okay? So make it a point to contact all of your teachers if you're not passing something. Now, next, how do you get into Parent Portal? Well, that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked. And this will let you see all of your grades, every individual little grade for each of your teachers. So you need to go to Waco ISD's website. Okay, just go to wacoisd.org. Look across the tabs at the top and find something that talks about parents or family, and you're looking for the parent information. And under there's somewhere should be a login for Parent Portal. Now, they may give you some information on there. Right, as far as I know, most people had theirs reset, and so if yours has been reset, your username is your ID number, and your password is your ID number. Now, I would try them both with the S in front of it, and if that doesn't work, try them both with just plain numbers. One of those should work if it has been reset. If it has not been reset, then you need to contact the help desk and have them reset it for you. You could probably also call the school and ask for the registrar's office and ask them to help you set up the Parent Portal. But here is the help desk number. So hopefully you can stop the video, take a picture of any of this stuff you need to. Here is the help desk line. It is open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., 254-284-1072. So call them if you need any help with getting into the Parent Portal, getting it set up so you can see your grades. So every day you will know what you made on that assignment. Okay, you may have been thinking that you made 100 because you sent it in, but I never got the picture, so I can't grade it until I get your picture. For some of you guys, that's what you did. You've got all these pictures, but they never attached to the assignment. So I need to get all those pictures so I can get you grades. Okay, so hopefully you've already done the work and it's in your notebook, and you can just take pictures and attach them and send them. So again, email me if you have any questions on what to do. All right, let's see what else we have here. There are some posters in this unit that you might need to look at, because we're doing the linear attributes and the quadratic attributes. And so I have posters, and I put them on this assignment at the beginning, where you can see what the poster looks like, and they show you where is the x-intercept in the graph, where is the y-intercept, where is the vertex if you're looking at a quadratic. So those pictures are Unit 3 posters and Unit 7 posters. You go to my homepage, just like when you first went into the algebra classroom, that's the homepage. In the middle of the screen, okay, in the middle of the screen, there's a little link there that says Enter Classroom. If you click on that, you come to 2 more links on the next page, and one of those is Resources. If you click on Resources, that has all the posters in it. So you might want to go to those unit posters, take a picture with your phone so you have them to look at while you're working on the computer. Okay, so there's that. Just in case you wanted to be able to do that rather than bouncing back and forth between parts of the assignment. So today, we're going to talk about quadratic attributes, but let's review our linear attributes because they are very similar. Now remember, the x-axis and the y-axis are just the grid in the background. That just shows us where this line is on this flat surface, okay? So here's my x-axis, here's the y-axis, and where they intersect is the number 0. So we always need to find 0 because it goes positive 1, 2, 3 to the right, negative 1, negative 2, negative, can't write and talk, negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3 to the left. Positive 1, 2, 3 going up, negative 1, and negative 2 going down. So where the x and the y-axis intersect, that number right there is 0. 0 on the x-axis, 0 on the y-axis. Now, the attributes that we're talking about for linear are just the x-intercept and the y-intercept. That is, where is this line crossing the x-axis and where is it crossing the y-axis? When it crosses the x-axis, that point is your x-intercept, and in this case, it's the number 2. Where this line is crossing the y-axis is right there, and in this case, the y-intercept is that number 3. The only other attribute we're going to talk about is where if you count up from a pretty point and over, so if you see these little dashed lines doing that, that's referring to slope. So if there's a blank there, what they want you to fill in is the word slope. We want you to know what we're talking about when we talk about these attributes. So slope is, in a picture, is counting up and counting over to find the slope. If they have a blank here, that's your x-intercept. If they have a blank there, it's your y-intercept. And on the poster, there are two other names for the x-intercept. We have not talked about this yet, but we're going to right now. X-intercept has a couple of different names. So we have x-intercept, we have the word 0, and we have the word solution. Okay. If they ask you to find the x-intercept, you're looking for that point where it crosses the x-axis. If they ask you to find the 0, you are looking for that point where it crosses the x-axis. If they ask you to find the solution of this, you're looking for that point where it crosses the x-axis. All three of these words mean x-intercept. Where is it crossing the x-axis? So sometimes they're going to be asking you for a 0 instead of the word x-intercept. It's still the x-intercept. If they ask you for a solution, you're still looking for an x-intercept. Okay? So I just wanted to point that out. Y-intercept up here, the only other name it has besides y-intercept, they will refer to it as the starting point. And we'll get into that more when we get into Unit 3. But the y-intercept is also known as the starting point because in the first quadrant, this is where I have, if this is time, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, I don't care about negative time. So at this point here, this is where my graph is starting and this is where it's ending. So maybe I'm draining a tub or something. This is when the tub is full and it's draining, 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 and now it's empty. So usually when we're talking about real world problems, the starting point is my y-intercept because that's at time 0, and 1 second later, 2 seconds later, or 3 seconds later, what has happened between that time and there. So anyway, starting point is also the y-intercept. We'll see that over and over and over. You'll see that on the pictures of those graphs. Okay, so there's the linear stuff. Let's go into today's lesson. Now, I told you that you can use that little calculator called the Desmos calculator. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that Desmos calculator as we're doing this stuff today. So here's your worksheet. First thing is just identifying these points on a graph. So they give you a word bank, and you just need to write the words next to the position that they belong to. So let me make this a little bit smaller so we can see it all. There we go. So here's my word bank to choose from. Here's a lovely problem. Let's start with this one. So this line here that says x is the x-axis. This line here is your y-axis, okay? So where they intersect is the number 0. So we want to know which is the x-axis and which is the y-axis out of all these things that you see up here. This little dash line is an imaginary line, so we'll talk about that in just a second. But here's my parabola, because we're doing the quadratic attributes today. So here's my parabola. Does this parabola cross the y-axis? Yes, and what do we call that point? It is the, can you find it? Yes, it's the y-intercept. So right here you would write y-intercept, right? That's that point right there, if you want to draw a little arrow to it. There is another name for y-intercept. What did I just tell you it was? At the beginning of time, and so 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, at the beginning of time, this is maybe when I threw a ball up in the air and it's going up in the air and it's going to come back down and hit the ground. Where it left my hand at time 0 is the starting point. That was how high it was off the ground at time 0. So starting. So y-intercept is also always known as the starting point or starting amount. Okay, but it's the start. So y-intercept, we're going to hear this over and over again. Y-intercept is your start. So there's the y-intercept. It goes up and comes back down. What do we call that tipping point up there where it changes direction? Do you remember from the other day? Vertex? Yes, that one is a vertex. Okay, and then we have where this parabola crosses the x-axis. There's 2 of these, and these are known as, it's on the x-axis. Yes, this is your x-intercept. I'm writing there. X-intercept. So I got an x-intercept and x-intercept. There's 2 of them. What are the other 2 names for x-intercept? 0 and solution. So these are also a 0 and also a solution. Because when you see this on a little quiz or when we're doing it in the daily work, there's going to be 3 blanks there. You need to have all 3 different names in those blanks. X-intercept, 0, solution. Same thing over here. X-intercept, 0, and solution. A lot of Algebra 1 is just learning the vocabulary that goes with these graphs. And once you know your vocabulary, it gets to be really easy because x-intercept, 0, and solution are on the linear graphs too, right? Y-intercept starting points on the linear graph. Once you know the position, you can do any type of function with that. Vertex is unique to parabolas. It's where it changes direction. Now, there is another thing that goes with vertex, and I'm going to come back to that one in a second once we do this one. So here's my other graph over here. Do we still have a vertex? Yes. There's my vertex. And this is my x-axis, so this is my y-axis, and where they intersect is the 0 on the number lines. There's one other thing I didn't talk about on this one. That imaginary line down the middle, what it does is this is the fold line that if I fold this parabola in half, it is symmetrical. That's the line right down the middle of the parabola. I can fold it in half and it will be right on top of itself. That line is called the axis of symmetry, or you may have heard it referred to before as a line of symmetry. Axis is just a straight line. So this is a line of symmetry. So this is my axis of symmetry. I'm going to put it right across this. This is my axis of symmetry. Now, I'm not going to ask you to do the axis of symmetry right now. We're going to do that later on when we get to quadratics in unit, whatever that was, unit 7, I think. So, but I just want you to know that it is there, it does exist. So, it's imaginary, but it is there. It goes down the middle. So what do we call this line, the imaginary line that splits my parabola in half? That's my axis of symmetry. Abbreviate the axis a little bit. What do we call where this parabola crosses my y-axis? It's on the y-axis, so it is the y-intercept. And y-intercept is also known as the starting point, right? So there's my starting point, y-intercept. And then I have these 2 points where it's crossing the x-axis. And of course, those are my x-intercept. And what are the other names for x-intercept? Can you remember them without looking? Can you? If not, look. It's a 0. Also known as a solution. So all you're doing is filling in the words with the word back down here to help you put where they go. And all of these words are going to be used someplace on those pictures. The other thing is that's on this list is maximum or minimum. The vertex is still that tippy point in both of these. However, this one is a low point, right? It's the very lowest. The graph never goes below that, so it's also known as a minimum. So sometimes they're going to ask you, does this graph have a maximum or a minimum? It has a minimum because that's the lowest point. It never goes below that point. Now, this one goes down forever and ever, so there is no minimum on it, but it has a top point that it never goes above, so that is a maximum. Okay, and on the next unit we'll be talking more about that, but for right now you just got to be able to pick out, is this vertex a minimum or is it a maximum? Is this vertex a minimum or is it a maximum? All right, so there's my words for that. Those are your vocab words for this unit. We'll be doing this almost every day for a little bit to get really good at these vocab words. All right, let's go to the next screen. Now down here they give you a graph with numbers on the number line and they want you to go find these points or whatever the numbers and stuff are. So let's go see this one, the vertex. So if I find this parabola where it goes up and comes back down, that little point at the top is the vertex. And when they ask me to find the vertex, they want the ordered pair that goes with it. So this is always an ordered pair. X number always comes first, Y number always comes second. So if you come over here and if you put little numbers on here so you can see them, and I think on your paper when you do it on the line, you can see the grid lines. But this is over 3 and up 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went over 3 and up 4, and they're both positive, 3, 4. So that is the vertex of that. That's what they're looking for, so ordered pair. Is this one a maximum or a minimum? Does it have a high point? Because it keeps going down forever and ever. There are arrows on here that keep it going down. So this is a high point. It's a max. And we can abbreviate maximum with max. Axis of symmetry we are not going to do because we're not going to worry about that until we get into the quadratic unit. The zeros. What is a zero? Do you remember? It's a name for something that we've been finding already. It's just another name for it. It's the x-intercepts. So where is it crossing the x-axis? So here's my 0. I always look for the 0 where the x and y axis are intersecting. So here it is the x-axis. So this is the x-axis. So here it is at 1 and here it is at 5. Positive 1 and positive 5 is where it's intersecting the x-axis. So 1 and 5. Positive 1 and positive 5. Don't give me negative signs on those. Now direction of opening, they're just asking, this is closed up here. There's no way out. But see how it's open down here? So it's opening down. And the y-intercept is where it's crossing the y-axis. If I come down the y-axis, way down here at -5. So that's all we're doing is when they give you a picture, just picking out these parts. Now, if they don't give you a picture, but they give you an equation, can we put that equation in the calculator and look at the picture in our graphing calculator? Yes, we can do that. We're going to do those in just a minute. So y'all go try number 2. I'm going to set up, move the paper over, and you can pause the video, and then you can come back and check and see how you did on number 2. All right, hopefully you've done number 2. Now, I was going to tell you also, when you're doing these at home, all you need to do is just write the word and just tell me what the answers are. You don't have to recopy the graph or anything. So vertex. Hopefully you decided the tippy point down here was the vertex. And if you're going to do the whole ordered pair, you put the x number first. So from the origin, you went left. How far left did we go? I think we went, can I see my lines on here? I gotta get back to where I can see. I think that's at 3. I think it's halfway between these two. So this is at 3, and it's a think of these positive and negative. These are negative numbers going this way, because that's a negative 10. So we have negative numbers going this way, positive numbers going that way. So this is a negative 3, comma, and this one is coming down all the way to halfway between negative 8 and negative 10. So what's halfway between negative 8 and negative 10? That would be a negative 9. Here we go. So I got that one filled in. What did I do with my other sheet? I don't know what I did with the other sheet. That's okay. Go. You go grab it. No, I don't know what I did with it. That's okay. We'll keep going. So max or min? Does it have a high point that it never goes above, or does it have a low point that we never go below? It's got a low point, so this one is a minimum, or min. Axis of symmetry we are skipping. Zeros. Zeros are another name for what? X-intercept. They could have also asked what are the solutions. You're still looking for an x-intercept. So where is it crossing this x-axis up here? This is my x-axis because there's 0. It's crossing at 0. And it's crossing over here at negative 6. So 0 and negative 6 are my x-intercepts. The direction of opening, it's closed down here, but it's opened up. And the y-intercept is on the y-axis, and it's also crossing right there at 0. So my y-intercept is also at 0 on that one. All right, remember, if you have any questions, you need to be emailing me about anything that you have questions on. Let's flip it over to the other side. This is where we're going to use our Desmos calculator, because we need to be able to see this graph in a calculator, or you need to see the graph, which means, I can get my paper, which means we need to be able to use that Desmos calculator. And I think some people had some questions about that. So Desmos.com is where you're going to go to. DESMOS.com. Well, actually, you don't need to do that. Just hit one of the tabs at the top. In the search box in the middle, just type in Desmos calculator. And then just click on any of the ones that come up down there that say Desmos calculator, and it will automatically pull up the Desmos calculator for you. Okay, it's a graphing calculator. When you're looking at your screen, toward the top of the screen, there's a little box, and it has like a little blue number 1 next in that little blue box, and there's a blank space to the right of that little number 1. That's where you type in the equation. So you're literally just going to type in the equation there. Just put your cursor in that little blank area and literally type in y equals 2, hit the number 2, hit the x. Now, to get this little 2 here, there's a key on your laptop that's the number 6. And on that number 6, there's that little rooftop symbol, right? And you have to hit the shift key to get to that. So we want to put that little rooftop symbol in. So right here, you're going to hit the shift 6. So this is shift 6. When you hit shift 6, you're going to type, it's going to give you, it may give you the symbol for a second, but then you're just going to hit the number 2. So hit shift 6, and that puts the rooftop symbol in. You may not see it, but it's there. And then you just type in 2, and it's going to pop the 2 up there. So shift 6, and then the 2, and it's going to pop the 2 up there. Then you can continue on with plus 4x and minus 6. So when you're done, just check to make sure that your equation that you typed in looks like this with that 2 up above. Shift 6 is the thing that makes that 2 go up there as an exponent. Okay? There's that little rooftop symbol above the 6 number. So shift 6 will give you that, and then you type in the 2. So shift 6, and then you type in 2, and the 2 will pop up there. Okay, so once you got that in there, you over here on this area of your screen of the calculator, you'll see the actual graph. And you can just drag that screen around, so if you don't see the vertex, you can drag it up till you see the vertex and move it back down. And you can literally go look for all these things. So let's go fill in the vertex. Look for that tipping point. You may have to drag it down, because I think the graph is looking something like this. So you're going to have to go find that tipping point down there. And if you look very carefully, the vertex is at -1, -8. So make sure you put this in the Desmos calculator so that you can see this when you're doing them on test day, right? Hopefully before then we will have the inspires for you, but in the meantime we can still at least use this Desmos calculator. Okay, now the min or max value. Is this a min or a max? Does it have a high point or a low point? Low point, so this is a min. Axis of symmetry we're not doing. Zeros. Go look to see where this thing is crossing the x-axis. What 2 numbers is it crossing at? So just go up there and visually look, find those numbers. Hopefully you found them. Write them down. Check them against me. Remember, you can stop the video whenever you need to, and then pick it back up again. And then same thing, go look to see where it's crossing the y-axis. And I don't remember what this picture looked like, but somewhere it's crossing, and I don't know if it's on this side or this side, but it was crossing the y-axis someplace. So you're looking for that y-axis number. And I don't know where it is in your graphs. I can't remember what this one looks like. You just go find where it's crossing that. Hopefully, after you find that where it's crossing, you wrote down -6. Now, to fill in the table, that's an easy thing to do because all you're going to do is on that little Desmos calculator, you've got your equation typed in. Right above the equation, right around here, is a little wheel with little cogs looking thing, right? It's kind of like a cog looking thing. Looks something like that. It's a little cog. Click on that, and a little box is going to pop up, and you'll see what looks like a little tiny table in that box. And if you click on that, you will then have the table, and you can just drop the numbers in there. Literally copy them down. That's all you're doing is copying the numbers down. And when you see it, you'll see a -2, -1. Now this is a horizontal table, but just make sure the x numbers are going from the x numbers in your table and the y numbers are going that way. So when they do a horizontal table, the x's are on top and the y's are on bottom. And this is 1 and this is 2. And if you come back with your y numbers, you have -6, -8, -6 again, 0, and a 10. And we'll point out more information about how to tell if this is quadratic from a table when we get into the quadratics. Right now, I just want you to be able to see a picture and pick out the x-intercepts in that. But if they give you an equation, you can type it into the Desmos calculator, see the picture, and just go find the x-intercepts, find the y-intercept, find the vertex. We want you to be able to do it from a picture right now. That's all we got to do is be able to do is do it from the picture. Okay, so over here, same thing. We're going to put this in the calculator. So go to your, right after you finish this one, there's an X at the end of where you put this in. If you hit the X, that clears out, and you can type a new one in. Okay, so just hit the X over here, this clears out, and then you can type in this equation. So type in y equals -3x. Now to get the 2, it's shift 6. So again, right here, you're going to hit shift 6, and then type a 2. And that 2 is going to jump in up there as the exponent. So shift 6, and then the 2 will make it jump up in the exponent as a 2. And then you're going to finish it off with plus 6x and plus 3. Okay, so go fill this stuff in first. When you see the graph over there, it should be a graph that looks like that. Okay, I don't have all the numbers and stuff, but it looks like that. So is this a max or a min? It's a high point, it's a max. I'm not doing axis of symmetry. Go find the vertex. See if you can pick out the x and the y numbers that go with that. You can pause my video again and go check it, see if you can do it on your own. And then check the numbers. 1, 6, it was a positive 1 and up 6 over there. The zeros, what do the zeros mean? What am I looking for? Zeros are where the parabola is crossing the x-axis. So go find the x-axis, wherever that may be, and find those 2 points. Okay? The ones with the numbers going across it. Find them, find what points they're on. Now, this one I don't particularly like because you will not have one like this on the test where it's really not at a nice, pretty intersection. I just said this is kind of around -0.5 and around 2.5. It wasn't exactly on those numbers, it was close. And again, they're not going to give you one like that on the STAR test. And if they do, you're going to assume it's halfway and tell me, 0.5 or whatever. Or if it's halfway between 8 and 10, you're going to tell me it's 9. So again, you're just try to, I don't like this particular question just because of that. So that's why I'm helping you with it. Y-intercept, where is it crossing the y-axis? So go look to see where the parabola is crossing the y-axis, see if you can find it. And then pause the video, go check it. All right, so it's at 3. Same thing to get to the table. There's a little cog above where you typed in the equation. Click on that, and then you'll have a little box that's down there, and look for the little icon that looks like a table. If you click on that, you will see a table on your screen, and then you can drop those numbers in on your table that's here on your paper. So just make a little table here for yourself. Just tell me what these numbers are. You don't have to sketch it. You can just fill in the numbers and just draw the table and stuff in there. To get rid of it, I think, there's to make the table go away. I mean, you can just totally go back out and come back in again. But above this, kind of next to the wheel over here, there are some little swoopy arrows that I think they kind of do this sort of a thing, and there's one that goes that way. If you click on this one, it's an undo, and it makes the table go away, and it brings you back to your screen where you have the where you can type in the equation again. So this little undo thing above the equation will make the table go away. So there's some little tips on that Desmos calculator just to make that a little bit easier for you. All right, let's see what this next part is. Let's see, down here. So they give you a picture. So again, the question just says, what are the zeros? This is a typical question on the STAR test. This is a typical question on our next Unit 2 test. So zeros, and they give you the picture. So all we got to do is just find out where it's crossing the x-axis, because that's what zeros are, x-intercepts. So here's the 0. So this is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. It's important to know which ones are the x and y-axes. And then they say this is 5, so that means each one of these is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're counted by ones. So it's crossing right here at 1. And over here, boom, 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 it's crossing at -1, -2, -3. And -3. So 1 and -3, make sure it's a +1 and a -3. Those 2 points are the x-intercepts. That's all we're looking for is the zeros. That was it. These are like give me questions on the STAR test. I'm telling you guys, these are easy ones. This one, what are the x and y intercepts of this function? They gave you an equation. Wouldn't it be nice if I had a picture? How can I get a picture from an equation? Yes, go back to your Desmos calculator, type the equation in, and just go look at the picture and see where is it crossing the x-axis? Give me those 2 points. Where is it crossing the y-axis? Give me that y-intercept. Okay, so just write those down and see what you come up with. Oh, wait, that was 2. Let me back up on this one. I said 1, but I can't talk and write at the same time. I told y'all that. This is 1, that's 2, so this is a +2. Yes, I know. I can't talk and write at the same time. So this one was 2 and -3. 1, 2, -1, -2, -3. I know some of you were going, Miss Harris, I wish I could tell you right now you made a mistake. Yes, it's 2 and -3. This one, when you go look at the picture, x-intercepts are at, hopefully you've done it yourself and pause the video, right? -2 and 6. You want to make sure that you can do these on your own. Y-intercept, make sure you can use that little Desmos calculator. This was x-intercepts. Those 2 numbers were the x-intercepts, your y-intercept was at -12. So just double check yourself. And again, if you're just following along and writing it down, comes test day, you're not going to know how to use this Desmos calculator. So make sure that you are doing this on your own and then ask any questions if you need to. Okay, the next 4 problems, 5, 6, 7, 8 are solving equations like we did in the first unit. So you need to show your work on your paper, write the equation, draw the line, or you don't have to draw the line anymore, but show me what you're doing to both sides. First thing you're going to do is simplify each side individually. Once the simplifying is done, check to see are the x's on one side or are they on both sides. If they're on one side, you're ready to start undoing. If they're on both sides, move them to one side first, then start undoing things. Okay, so you got those 4 to do, and again, I'll have the answer key for you, so make sure you check your answers so that you know if you're doing these right. Okay, bye guys.